What's up, softball people? Olympic gold medalist and left-handed catcher Jenny Topping here. Today we're going to discuss 6 topics of how to have a great relationship with an umpire. Check it out. One of the most important things that a catcher can do from the beginning of the game is introduce herself to an umpire. At this point, this is probably one of the only times in the game where a catcher should be looking an umpire directly in the eye, firmly shaking hands, and saying your name. Hi, I'm Jenny Topping. I look forward to protecting you today. At that point, the umpire should say his or her name, and it would be helpful as a catcher if we remember their name. Sometimes as catchers we have questions on a pitch call, and so how we frame the question is going to be very important when communicating with an umpire. Just like with your parents, if I were to say to my mom, well, what did I do wrong, with some sort of an attitude, at that point my mom would not be very happy with me. So how do we question an umpire but not put them on defense? A good way to frame this would be to say something like, that pitch was just inside, wasn't it, Blue? And if the umpire at that moment agrees with you, they'll say, yes, just bring it a little bit more closer to the plate. Or, that pitch was just a little bit down the zone, right, Blue? And the Blue at that point may say, no, it was just inside. So anytime we can get information for the umpire, this is great. We never want to put them on defense with our questions. We want them to feel comfortable having a conversation with us. On that same note, we should be open to their feedback. We may not always agree with the type of feedback that they give us, but if an umpire gives us some sort of feedback like, just hold that pitch for me, don't drag it back into the zone, you know, that's a good indicator of what the umpire wants to see from you. And as a catcher, with that umpire specifically, we may want to try that. We don't want to be embarrassing umpires. And what I mean by that is, if we don't agree with a pitch call, we definitely do not want to be turning around and looking an umpire in the face and saying, where was that pitch? Anytime we question a pitch call, we want to do it with respect, and we want to do it in a manner that's not threatening to them or embarrassing. One way that we can be embarrassing to an umpire is by turning and facing them. Another is sometimes even just turning our head so that they can hear us out of their mouth. You know, each umpire is a little bit different. There have been umpires that I've created a great relationship with as a catcher, and I could say, Blue, where was that pitch? And just tilt my head to the side so that he or she could hear me better. Some umpires would just prefer that you sort of lean back into them and say, umpire, was that pitch a little bit inside? And so it's just understanding what the preference of that umpire is needing, what the preference of that umpire is accustomed to, and trying to provide that for him or her. Holding a pitch. So as a catcher, there are times where we think a pitch is a strike and the umpire is calling it a ball. And sometimes in that frustration of wanting that pitch, we can stick a pitch and hold it for too long. And in that case, basically what we're saying is that we know more than the umpire does of what a ball and a strike is. In this case, depending on the umpire may start to get a little bit frustrated with us as a catcher. And we don't want to create that negative relationship with an umpire. So overly sticking a pitch is not something that we want to do in order to demand that the umpire calls the specific pitch a strike. Tempo of the game. Having a great tempo, meaning keeping a good rhythm in the game, is going to be important when we talk about a relationship with an umpire. So if the game is speeding up a lot and slowing down a lot, and we constantly have this changing of tempo, and this is caused by a team really not getting in rhythm with the game, and a catcher not having a really good solid routine of how she gets into a squat and she gives the signal to the pitcher, and then a pitcher taking a deep breath and then coming into the pitch. When that rhythm is constantly changing and speeding up and slowing down, it can really affect an umpire. So as a catcher, we should be constantly focused on what is the tempo of the game and how do I keep it in control. This can also help us to win more ball games, because when we start recognizing when the tempo starts to speed up because our team's made a mistake or two, when that happens, if we as catchers recognize that and call timeout and slow the game tempo back down, it affects everybody. It can help sort of stop the bleeding that is caused by the game speeding up, where we can have more mistakes being made or errors being made, and it also can allow the umpire to settle back into the tempo of the game. So game tempo is extremely important in the process of a catcher understanding what her purpose and rhythm of the game is. Thanks so much for watching. I'm sure there's a few more things that could be added to the relationship between a catcher and an umpire, and if you've got an idea of what a few of those are, go ahead and comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.